Welcome back. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone is healthy. I saw something this morning that I thought was beautiful. Next week, unfortunately, there will not be a shiur. The Mahlers will be traveling. Will be on a road trip. So I saw this. Someone sent this source to me. The Rambam in the Shmona Prakim. The Shmona Prakim. This is the last source on your source sheet. The Rambam in the Shmona Prakim. The Shmona Prakim is the Rambam's Hakdama. It's his introduction to Pirkei Avos. He writes an amazing thing. V'chein, and similarly, Mishis ora alav mara shechora. If a person they're feeling bad, they're feeling depressed, they're feeling down, Yisira, they should let that go. That negativity, that depression or sadness, you can get rid of that. B'shmiyas hanigunim. By listening to music. Music is very, very therapeutic. Music helps a person very, very much. Or uvitil haganos, or to go on a tiyul, to go traveling, to go on a hike. Binyanim hanaim, or actually even to go and to tour around large buildings, to look at large, beautiful architecture. I remember once with my wife, we went to the mansions in Rhode Island. That was also beautiful. So the Rambam saying that litayel, to travel, is very, very healthy emotionally and mentally, and that is, I don't know if it's necessarily a mitzvah, but it is able, it expands our nefesh, it expands our capacity to live, to deal with difficult situations, and you're able to get rid of this negativity and this sadness and this depression to you. So here, we're not depressed, Baruch Hashem, we have a wonderful, wonderful life, but it's summer and we're going on vacation, but now maybe it's a little bit more of a holy vacation, because the Rambam says that these things are important, and specific, especially probably for people that have really, really been cooped up. Maybe if there's bad weather, they just haven't been able to leave their house, even to go on walks or this and that. Maybe to get out in a healthy and safe way is very, very important and very, very beneficial. Okay, so when the Daf Yomi began, I said, you know what, I have a lot of other, responsibilities and shiurim and things to prepare. I'm not going to try to tackle the Daf Yomi, but I'm going to try to tackle the Amud Yomi. So what that means is that I don't do two sides of a Daf. A Daf is obviously both sides of the Gemara. I do one side a day, so instead of taking, to finish all of Shas, instead of taking 7.5 years, it will hopefully take 15 years. So in 2035, hopefully, Mirat Hashem, I'll be making a Siyam Hashas. So I am actually in the mid-chafs, in the mid-20s, in Maseches Brachos. And I saw earlier this week a Gemara that I don't remember ever learning. The very first line in the Gemara, almost everyone's going to have heard, because it is a famous mission. The Gemara is found on the bottom of Chaf Hey Amud Beis Tan Rabbanan. The Gemara teaches, the rabbis teach, Eza Ashir. Who's a wealthy man? Who's a rich person? What does it mean to be a rich person in Judaism? Right? What does that mean? Hasameya kol sheyesh bo nachas ruach ba'ashro. So the Gemara says, anyone who's truly wealthy is someone who takes pleasure, who enjoys their wealth. Divrei Rebbe Meir. The opinion of Rebbe Meir, one of the Talmidim of Rebbe Akiva, is what? Is that if you take pleasure in your wealth, so you are considered to be a wealthy person. Now we have a machlokas here, what exactly that means. And that this machlokas is between Rashi and the Maharsha. Rashi tells us, and as you see on your sheet, Nachas Ruach Ba'ashro, the second source, what does it mean to have Nachas Ruach, to have enjoyment, to have, almost inner enjoyment from your wealth? Sameach B'chelko, as Ben Zoma says in the very first mission, the fourth parak of Avos, Sameach B'chelko, to be happy with your lot, to be happy with what you have. Im Ma'at, Im Rav, whether you have a little bit of money or whether you have a lot of money. So basically, according to Rashi, the way you would read the Gemara is exactly this. Right now, there's no difference between the Gemara and Rabbi Meir and what Ben Zoma said in Pirkei Avos. So the conventional, traditional way to understand that line, Hasameach B'chelko, that I enjoy, I'm happy with what I have. That's not what the Maharsha says. The Maharsha says something a little bit, he says something a little bit different. And if you look, he writes, Here we go. Kol sheyesho nachas ayin b'feiros Rashi. First he quotes obviously Rashi. The yoter nira, but it's more realistic to say, or it seems to me more lefarish to explain. Demari ba'osher, with wealth, sheyesh lo rav. It actually means no, that you are a wealthy person. And then he quotes a pasuk from Koheles, no, that wealth means that you have stuff, you have amassed, either real estate or things and jewelry, whatever, right? But at the end, what does it mean? The end of the beginning of the third line of the Marsha. What does it mean to have nachas ruach ba'osho in your wealth? The hainu shenehen, that you enjoy your wealth. So that mikra asher, a wealthy person is someone that has money, but is also able to enjoy their money, enjoy their wealth, enjoy their riches. What does that mean? That means that if I have a lot of money, but I'm working nonstop, I'm working incessantly, I'm working, 16-hour days, I can barely take a vacation, I can barely enjoy what I have. I have the largest TVs, the best, wine selection, whatever it is that matters to me. I have season tickets to everything, but I don't go, I never drink the wine, and I never, enjoy what I have. Then ultimately you're not enjoying it. And then that's who the Marsha says is a person who doesn't have nachas ruach be'oshro. Fine, so we have a machlokas between Rashi and the Marsha. Rashi is more, the common man's explanation of this in terms of everyone can be a rich man. And the Marsha says, no, we're talking about a specific type of wealthy person. Let's continue on in the Gemara. So the Gemara then says, okay, the Gemara now quoted Rabbi Meir. Okay, what does it mean to be wealthy? So the Gemara quoted Rabbi Meir. Then the Gemara is going to quote three other opinions of three other Tanaim, famous Tanaim that we know of. Okay, but in between Rabbi Meir's opinion and the last three, the Gemara for some reason gives us a mnemonic. Usually you would think the mnemonic, the way to remember the four rabbis, would either be that I'm going to give the mnemonic before the four or after the four. Here it's Rabbi Meir, then the mnemonic, and then the next three. So Siman, what's the Siman? What's the mnemonic that we're going to remind us of who says what, or at least of the four rabbis' opinions? Siman Mat Kas. Mat is obviously Rabbi Meir. The Tet, is Rabbi Tarfon. The Kuf is not, no one with the first name that begins with Kuf, but that's Rabbi Akiva. And then the Samich is going to be Rabbi Yossi. So we have Rabbi Meir, then Rabbi Tarfon, then Rabbi Akiva, and then Rabbi Yossi. So what does it mean? Ezu Ashir. So Rabbi Tarfon now wants to explain what does it mean to be a rich man? How do you know you're rich? When can you look in the mirror and say, I am a wealthy man? Kol sheyesh lo meya kuramim. Any person who has 100 vineyards, umeya sadot, and has 100 fields, umeya avadim, and a person who has 100 servants, she'ovdin behen, who work in those fields. So according to Rabbi Tarfon, it's not attitudinal at all, right? It's not subjective at all. It's completely objective. If you meet these criteria, if you have 100 slaves who work in your fields, 100 fields and 100 vineyards, then you are a wealthy man. And we're going to see that, I think, that the Gra, the Vilna Gaon says that, what are you talking? This is crazy. Rabbi Tarfon thinks that this is a wealthy person, right? And if you're a little bit less, what does it mean? It means that the Kramim means Agados, means like to know the stories of the Gemara and to know what the Gemara is talking about. Sados means that you know that you know halacha, and Avadim means that you know brachos, right? And a person who knows Gemara and he knows halacha and he knows brachos, so that person ultimately is a wealthy man, and that's really what Rabbi Tarfon is saying. That's the opinion of the Gra. Fine, so we have Rabbi Meir of Sameach Bechelko or Shenachas Ruach Ba'osho, that he feels good, he enjoys his wealth. Then we have Rabbi Tarfon who actually says the 100. He's giving actually, some type of financial number that matches. That's how you know that you are, in this specific tax bracket. Then we go to Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says, Kol sheyesh lo isha na b'masim. Anyone who has a beautiful wife, right? Who has a beautiful wife, not beautiful wife, sheyesh lo isha na b'maasim. That his wife is not beautiful in terms of her looks, right? But she is beautiful in terms of her actions, her deeds, her midos. She is a wonderful, wonderful person. And then Rabbi Yossi, and this is really what got me to think of trying to understand what this Gemara is talking about. Rabbi Yossi Omer Kol sheyesh bo beis hakisei samuch l'shulchano. Any person who has a beis hakisei, anybody who has a bathroom, who has a restroom close to his table, close to where he lives, in the close proximity. He has, obviously in our homes we all have that nowadays, but back in the day, back in the times of the Mishnah, back in the times of the Gemara, that was obviously less common. And Rabbi Yossi is saying a wealthy person is a person who is able to take care of his bodily functions in close proximity to his home. Very interesting. The Rambam and the Ramban have a disagreement as to why Hebrew is called Lashon HaKodesh. Why is it called the holy tongue, the holy language? So the Ramban is what we probably would have all thought, right? Why is Hebrew called Lashon HaKodesh? So Hebrew is called Lashon HaKodesh because that's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to Moshe Rabbeinu. That's the language that they gave the Torah in. Even I think the Gemara in Sanhedrin says that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world through dibur, through speech, right? God said, let there be light, and there was light. How did he say that? He said it b'lashon HaKodesh, the Gemara in Sanhedrin tells us. So why is Hebrew the holy language? Because that's what all the holy books are about. Sort of HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks. That's what I would have understood. But the Rambam, and I'm saying this because the way we say a bathroom, at least in rabbinic literature and also in Tanakh, the Rambam basically says there are no quote unquote dirty words or crass words in Lashon HaKodesh. What does that mean? That means that that the word for a husband and wife being intimate together is a bia. It means that he is coming to the wife. He is approaching the woman. Or we have, the way that the person defecates. It's called tsoa. Tsoa just means to come out, right? It's exiting. And here, beis hakisei means the house of sitting, the house of chairs, right? So it's a beautiful idea to know that this were the Rambam and the Ramban. I guess in modern Hebrew, some of the Israelis are working their hardest to make sure that there are words that are unclean or not clean at all. But in Lashon HaKodesh, in rabbinic literature, in Tanakh, we only have clean words, and that's why the Rambam says that Hebrew is considered to be Lashon HaKodesh. So what could this possibly mean? Right? We have the Rabbi Meir, who says that wealth means that I am enjoying benachas ruach ba'osho, that I am enjoying my wealth. Then we have Rabbi Tarfon. Rabbi Tarfon says you have 100 vineyards and 100 slaves and 100 fields. And then we had Rabbi Akiva, who says you have a wonderful wife. And then we have Rabbi Yossi, finally, and Rabbi Yossi is telling us that a person is wealthy, called sheyesh bo lo beis hakisei samuch l'shulchano, a person who is able to take care of his bodily functions, of his needs, close by in close proximity. So there we're going to try to understand what is going on with looking at two of the great commentaries on the Gemara. The first is the Maharsha. The Maharsha is what we look at very often. The Maharsha has a whole commentary on the Aggados, on the Talmudic tales, on the Gemara, on the stories of the Gemara, and the Maharsha explains beautifully. The Maharsha says that really there are three ideas, there are three, let's say, reasons or motivations why a person would want to become wealthy. Why does a person want money? Why does the person want wealth? Why does a person want riches? First of all, what's the difference between a rich person and a wealthy person? So you have to quote the great Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq said, meaning talking about himself, I'm rich. But the person who signs my checks, he's wealthy. So you have different degradations in terms of wealth. Okay, that's the wisdom of Shaq. Okay, so people are accumulated, the Maharsha, people are motivated, to accumulate their wealth for three different reasons. The first is kavod. I want people to know that I'm a wealthy man. I want people to know that I'm a gavra rabba. I'm an important, chashuv, wealthy person. Okay, so fine. So if that's my motivation, Rabbi Tarfon and all three we're going to see. So the first is to know I'm wealthy. The second is, why do I want money? I want money so I can support my family. I want money so I can support my wife. I want money so I can support my children. I can buy them a big house. I can buy them, I can send them to the best schools and the best camps and get them the best clothes. And in Nebuch, sadly, in some worlds, more money means a greater shidduch, right? They'll have a greater marriage partner, a greater chance or possibility of marrying somebody who also has money. And the last, which is something that my wife and I say very, very often, is you want money ultimately so you can take care of your health, right? It's cash is let's say the best reserve. A cash reserve is the best insurance policy for illness. As long as I have the money, I'm going to get to be able to take care of myself and be able to insurance and get to the best doctors. So a person wants money for three reasons. First is kavod, the Maharsha says. The second is so I can support my family. And the third is I'm going to work and get as much money as I possibly can in order to take care ultimately of my health. And the Maharsha says that the last three of the opinions, Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Yossi, are coming to tell me that what? It's coming to tell me that those attitudes are not really why a person should have money. Those three are really, they're faulty. They're all really faulty, and they're precluding. He's coming to say, the Gemara is coming to preclude these three attitudes of why people like to chase after money. So the Maharsha says that let's understand it. Rabbi Tarfon said, what does it mean? 100, 100, 100? Saying no, meaning once you have 100, so 100, you're not going to want 101. He quotes the pasuk in Mishlei, Ohev Kesef, or maybe in Koheles, Ohev Kesef, Lo Yisba Kesef. A person who loves money, right? Lo Yisba Kesef is never going to ever be satisfied with the money that they have. They're always going to want more. So he's saying, almost like sarcastically, if you think, a person with 100 fields and 100 vineyards and 100 servants, that person's wealthy? What are you talking about? That person's not wealthy because they're going to always want even more. What's the second reason? Okay, the second reason is a person is going to come and say, no, I need to support my family. So Rabbi Akiva is saying, no, don't care about supporting your family. Care about who your family is. And what does he say? He says, you know who's a wealthy person? A wealthy person who has a woman, who has a wife, who has a family, who has children, who has a spouse that's wonderful b'ma'asim in their actions, who they are as people, right? That's real wealth. And then lastly, right? Lastly, what does Rabbi Yossi say? Rabbi Yossi is saying ultimately that really the best insurance policy against needing to say I need more money because there could be a time where I'm going to need to take care of my kid because of this, or my father because of this, or my spouse because of this illness, right? No. Just be focused on your good hygiene. Wash your hands a lot, right? All those things. Take care of yourself. Go to the bathroom a lot, right? Why? Because that is very, very therapeutic. That is very, very healthy. That's the opinion of the Maharsha. And he's saying, obviously, we paskin or the real idea, who's correct? Rabbi Meir's correct. And then we brought Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Yossi to say that though you might think that I'm gonna get money, I'm gonna try to accumulate as much wealth as I possibly can because of A, B, or C, those are all the wrong kavanos to have. And that also, I think, the Maharsha doesn't say this, but I think it answers our question of the awkward placement of the mnemonic, right? It's basically the mnemonic should have been either before Rabbi Meir or at the end after Rabbi Yossi. But really, I think the way you would understand the structure of the Gemara is who's Ezu Asher? Rabbi Meir is correct. He answers either according to Rashi that you're just sameach bechelko, or according to the Maharsha that you enjoy your wealth. Right, so Rabbi Meir's accepted, and that's the way we rule. That's the way we agree. Then we have to cut that off. That's correct. And then the second half of the Gemara is the three almost like faulty explanations. Then we come to a beautiful explanation by the Maharatz Chias. The Maharatz Chias was a commentary. He wrote the Mevo HaTalmud, which is a very important work on the introduction to Talmud and Talmud study, and also part of his commentary on the Gemara. The Maharatz Chias, in very small print, is quoted in the back of the Gemara. And if you look on the Maharatz Chias's, or on the Wikipedia page for the Maharatz Chias, he says that he is the only commentary in the back of the Vilna Shas. He's the only person, Rav, that's quoted in the back of the Vilna Shas, which is your standard Shas, right? Which is your standard Gemara that has a PhD. Pretty awesome, right? We're young Israel, non-Orthodox. Oh my gosh, amazing! Has a PhD. It's wonderful. So that sounds awesome, and that sounds great, and that sounds pretty cool. But we have right around the corner from us. There's a professor who davens at Young Israel, and he told me, I once mentioned this to him, and he never heard of it. He never heard it, but he did tell me that in Europe in the 1800s, and even I guess in the beginning of the 1900s, no one ever got a BA. No one ever got a BA. So even to teach in high school, you needed a PhD in Europe. And getting a PhD was almost like getting a BA is nowadays. So it sounds awesome. It sounds cool. And in a speech or in a shiur to say that the Maratz Chias had a PhD is pretty awesome. But it's not really as awesome as it sounds. So he has an explanation which I think is absolutely beautiful, and it allows us to learn a couple more stories in the Gemara. He says that he quotes the Gemara. Sorry, I wasn't able to put this source on the sheet. He says, "Niraber kol elu hachachamim." All these chachamim, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Akiva, and Yossi, kol echad omer. Everyone states lifi darko v'hidnahaguto, according to their life experiences. They're not just saying a random. Rabbi Akiva is not talking about a wife randomly. Rabbi Tarfon's not talking about 100 fields and 100 vineyards randomly. It's based on their lives. So what does it mean? So then he goes and explains. Yad anu de Rabbi Meir hayalavlar. We know that Rabbi Meir was a lavlar. He was a scribe. He was a sofer. And he made very, very little money. The Gemara in Eruvin tells us that he made gimel sela. He made 3 sela every single week. One he used for food, one he used for clothing, and one he says Visela Shlishi Nasan LeRabbanan. He gave to the rabbi. So I don't know if that means as like as a payment or support, or like the Gemara in Yuma says about Hillel, that to get into, in the days of Hillel, to get into the Beis Medrash, you had to pay. You had to pay an entrance fee. You had to pay tuition. Okay, but he was very, very poor. Right? And we saw that he never wanted anything, and he never wanted money. So he just enjoyed life. That's what the Maratz Chias says. So the Rabbi Meir saying Nachas Ruach Ba'osho, the first opinion, is just a reflection of who he was. Then he goes to Rabbi Tarfon. Rabbi Tarfon, we know, was very, very wealthy, right? He was very, very wealthy, and he was a tremendous Baal Tzedakah. So why does he say a wealthy person? Why does he say a wealthy person is the person who has 100 fields and 100 vineyards and 100? Because that's wealth to him. Rabbi Tarfon is it's ultimately a reflection of who he is. Then we get to Rabbi Akiva, and let's learn the story together. Okay, many of us have heard of this story and might know this story, but let's look at the story together. Why does he say a wonderful wife, right? And really, a wonderful wife is according to Rabbi Akiva, that's real happiness. You have a tremendous spouse and a wonderful family. That is true happiness. Here we have in the source in the Gemara in Kesubis. Rabbi Akiva Raya de ben Kalba Savuahav. Rabbi Akiva was the shepherd of Ben Kalba Savua. Kalba Savua was one of the wealthiest people in Yerushalayim. The Gemara in Gittin, we'll probably learn these Gemaras before Tisha B'Av. But the Gemara says that Ben Kalba Savua was one of the 3 wealthiest people in Yerushalayim. What does it mean, Kalba Savua? Because a kalba is like a kelev, a dog. Savua means that he was satiated. Rashi says he was called Kalba Savua because whenever anybody would come, he would give them so much money or so much food that even their dogs would be savua, that even their dogs would be satiated. Now, interesting thing, this is not what Rashi's saying, but you could say that no, maybe he was cheap. Why? This is not what Rashi's saying. But because we know the halacha that you're supposed to feed your dogs, feed your animals before you eat, could be that he wasn't such a, you could read the Gemara and basically say, no, maybe he wasn't such a philanthropic person. He would only give them that their dogs were satiated, but they weren't. That's not the way. That might be kfira. Let's erase that from the video. Okay. Rabbi Akiva Raya ben Kava, he was the shepherd. Rabbi Akiva was ben Kava Sabua's shepherd. Chazise Berote the Havet Tzniya Umale. He saw that much more. Rabbi Akiva saw that Kava Savua had a wonderful daughter that was modest. She was Tzniya Umale. She was modest and she was like a wonderful person. Amra Le. She asked him, right? She asked Rabbi Akiva. She's a very modern woman. She's coming to Rabbi Akiva. Amrle, she says to him, if you marry, if you propose to me, if we get engaged and we get married, will you go to the Beirav? Will you go to the study hall? Will you go to the house of the academy of the rabbis? Will you go to learn Torah? Amrle in. Rabbi Akiva is taken by her, and she approaches him, and she says, "Yeah, of course I'll go to the base medrash. Of course I'll go learn." Right? They get engaged. They get engaged in secret, and she sends him away to go and learn. Shama avuha. The father Kava Savua hears what went on. And he threw Kava Savua, threw his daughter out of this home, and Adra Hana min Chisei. And he takes a shavu, he takes a neder, he takes a vow that she's done. I'm not giving her any money. She's out of the will, no money for her because she married this poor, unlearned shepherd. Ozil Yosef Treis Shnin B'cheirav. So what do we know? Rabbi Akiva went and he sat for 12 years. He learned uninterrupted for 12 years in the base medrash. Kiyasa, after 12 years, when he comes back, Aiti Bahade Treis Rei Alfei Talmidei, he brings back with him 12,000 Talmidim. Shamilahu Sabadika Amarla. And as he was about to enter the home, he hears an old man, a Saba, an elderly man, saying to his wife, saying to Rabbi Akiva's wife, Adkama, how long is Adkama Kamidabrat Almanos Chaim? How long are you going to live like an almana? How long are you going to live like a widow? Your husband's never around. Your husband's been away for 12 years, right? You're like, what are you doing? You're wasting away. You're wasting your good years, whatever it is. You're like an almana. You're like a widowed woman. Amrle, she says to him, right? If he would listen to me, he would be hearing me now. Amar Bershuska Avdina. I would give him another 12 years. When Rabbi Akiva heard, he went, right? He went back to the yeshiva, didn't even say hello. And next time he comes back with 24,000 students. And then later on, just in terms of time, Ben Kava Savua hears later on that this man comes back with so many students, right? And where are we? Amar Aizil Ligabei. Efshar de made for no. He says, you know what? Maybe this guy was made for his neder. Maybe Kava Savua annulled his vow. Also, the Ligabei comes to him. Adaiti the Gava Rabba Minadak. So Rabbi Akiva says to him, right? Did you make this vow when you said your daughter is done? Did you make this vow, right, with the intent that it would apply even if your son-in-law becomes a great person? Kava Savua says no, and ultimately everything gets back, and he gives him a lot of money. He's back in the will. He's back in his good graces. Actually, the Gemara says he gives him the Yayiv Le Palga Mamone. Kava Savua gave Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Akiva's wife, about Kava Savua's daughter, he gave them half of all his possessions. Then the Gemara adds like another piece, a sequel to the story. Barte de Rabbi Akiva's daughter, of Doleila ben Azza. Yesterday I had to film a Pirkei Avos, for the shul, and it was about Ben Azai. Ben Azai was I think a Talmud of Rabbi Akiva, and Ben Azai married Rabbi Akiva's daughter. So here we're going to see, right, that did. Barte de Rabbi Akiva's daughter of the Leila ben Azai, Hachi, but Rabbi Akiva's daughter did the same with Ben Azai. Basically said to Ben Azai, go and learn. Get out of here and go learn. V'hainu da amri inshi. And this is what people say. This is the basis of which people have the common practice. Rechele basa rechele aza. Just as the animal follows the daughter animal follows the father animal, the mother animal. Just as the mother does, so too the daughter does. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. She grew up in a home where the mother was machshiv Torah, and machshiv Torah learning, felt that Torah learning was the most important thing in the world, and therefore what? That was passed down to her daughter. So just like she sent the husband away to learn, and there was a house where Talmud Torah was the preeminent value, the major priority in the home, so too that was passed down to her daughter as well. And then finally we get to Rebbe Meir. The Gemara says in Shabbos, later on in Masechet Shabbos, there are many statements that Rebbe Yossi says. Yehei Chelki. Okay, and the last source, Rabbi Yossi this is Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta. Whenever the Gemara says just Stam Rabbi Yossi, it's Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta, who was one of the main Talmidim, one of the main students of Rabbi Akiva. So he says, almost as like a tefillah or as a statement, I'm not exactly sure which, but he says, I want to be included amongst these people. He says, Yehei Chelki mi'ochlei shalosh seudos b'Shabbos. I want to be counted amongst those people who eat 3 meals on Shabbos. He also says, I want to be counted amongst the people that finish halal every single day. The Gemara says that that's not real halal. It's psukei de zimra. In the third line, Rabbi Yossi says, I want to be counted with the people who are mispali im dumdume cham, with the redness of the sun. That means probably vasikin. What about the Yehei in the sixth line, 7th line? I want to be counted amongst those people who die while they're on their way to do a mitzvah, while they're on their way to perform the a mitzvah commandment of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Interestingly, we do have a concept. I'm sure the Mefarshim speak about this. I haven't looked into this, but shluchei mitzvah eno nizaken. You don't get damaged when you're on your way to do a mitzvah. But Rabbi Yossi here is saying, I want to be counted with people that die on their way to do a mitzvah. There's another one, a couple lines down, Yechelki migabei tzedakah. I want to be counted amongst those people who collect tzedakah, who try to give out tzedakah. But here in the 6th line, we say, Amar Rabbi Yossi Yechelki miasei becholei me'ayim. I want to be counted amongst those people who die, who pass on because of cholei me'ayim, because of an attribute of dying because of, let's say, some type of stomach or some type of intestinal pain. So what's really going on here? The Gemara says, Rashi actually says that ultimately a person is only going to die. Tzaddikim very often die of intestinal pains. Why? Because they have no other. You can't pin their averos. They have no other sins. That's how they're ultimately going to go. So Rabbi Yossi is basically saying, if I live a life where I haven't sinned, and I live a life of, I'm doing mitzvahs, and I'm avoiding averos, and I'm living a good, committed, Torah, moral life of real integrity and real value on real mission and real purpose, then ultimately, you know what, right? There's going to be a time where I need to use the restroom because I'm going to have some stomach pains. But if I die of that, then you know what? Then I know I'm doing well because I know that ultimately I have no other sins, and that's true happiness. When you know that you're fulfilling the word of God, Rabbi Yossi is saying, I am, that's the truest happiness in the world. So if you look at all 4, right, you have Rebbe Meir, and I go into the Maharsha. We paskin in the world of Jewish philosophy. We paskin like Rebbe Meir that you have to be hasameach b'chelko. I have to be happy with what I have, with what I've been blessed with. And as we said many times, right, that the bracha of hanotein l'kol tzarki, whatever. Why I can't think of it. Whatever, that I'm given everything that I need. It's not everything that I want. It's everything that I need to live a purposeful and meaningful life for me to accomplish what I need and what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to accomplish in life. But then also the other, that's the Maharsha, they'd be paskin like him. But then you look at Rabbi Tarfon and say, you know what? I can't just be chasing materialism and physical things all day, all my life, because I'm never going to be satisfied, right? I'm going to want more and more and more and more. So that's an important idea for Rabbi Tarfon. And ultimately, my family My family, according to Rabbi Akiva, is the most important thing because they have to be good people. My children, my wife, my spouse, my parents, whoever is in my immediate orbit, that's what I really have to focus on. It's not the money, it's making sure, not that I provide for them, but that I perhaps provide the proper modeling for them, and I am there to make sure that they are the greatest, have the greatest midos possible. And then Rabbi Yossi, maybe they save the best for last, is ultimately that I'm happiest when I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And when we're fulfilling the word of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when we're fulfilling His mitzvos, so ultimately that's the greatest feeling in the world. And that is ultimately Ezu Ashir, person who is doing what he is supposed to be doing. Have a phenomenal week. Learn well and be healthy and be great.